Hi, I'm Chase McMichael. I'm CEO and co-founder of Infinigraph. Infinigraph focuses on increasing video lifetime value for video publishers and broadcasters. And we do that through processing vast amounts of their video data and then create insights and intelligence around their audience and how they interact with certain scenes. So here's a great example of a video clip that we extracted out of a video for CBS. And by putting this in front of the right person at the right time, in this clip, we're not only able to increase a dramatic take rate, but we're also enabling a better consumer experience. So I was asked to talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence and talk about how that would affect brands and about how it would improve consumer experience around devices. And one of the exciting things about artificial intelligence primarily is that, in my point of view, is that it will give back time to individuals so that a system will be thinking for them or providing insights proactively. So how should AI be leveraged to increase brand trust, engagement, and help consumers? So first off, brand trust. Brand trust is about anticipating your consumers, being able to be very proactive when they interface with you, actually recognize them and provide them with incredible value and service. And this is something that all brands have struggled with in the past. Is not only, someone comes into their retail or establishment or comes online and they're not responsive. Now, personalization, the ability to personalize that experience is a big deal right now. And companies are really utilizing their data in some smart ways, especially in the retail segment. We're seeing that with Amazon and a lot of the movie companies like Netflix, really trying to customize the experience for their audience. The other thing that we're seeing around brand trust is the ability to really not only be intuitive, and be responsive and proactive. And that requires a much higher level of intelligence around your data and bringing that data to the next level of insights where you're really thinking through, like, what would that anticipation, like, what is that consumer going to buy, or how are they going to respond, or is there something I could do when they purchase a product from me that can be more proactive? So you're trying to create that incredible experience. And that's, again, brand trust. And brands have spent many decades, even 100 years, on creating trust. And all of a sudden, something happens in the internet or media, and they become completely eviscerated. So again, you have to be also responsive to things that are happening across your social web. And that is monitoring. And the ability to pick up and bring in intelligence and really be smart about how you interface with your consumers, both mobile, social, and even across the cloud application. Don Peppers back in the late 90s was doing what's called one-to-one marketing. And this is really the onset of how do I personalize an experience. Well, if you're going to create enhanced engagement, you really have to put in front of that consumer something that visually, cognitively gets them excited or creates an emotional response. Without emotion, people do not recall information. So if you don't make an emotional response with someone, the ability for them, especially in this distracted economy we're in, them to have any type of recall is very difficult. So good service is expected. The reality is people want to be wowed. And that really comes down to is how well on your consumer touch points do you know about the individual? Do you know who they are? Do you know how they're interacting with you on a day-to-day or month-to-month or year-to-year basis? And that's really a core component. If an individual buys a product or they're interfacing with an application and you don't have the ability to recommend or provide insights that helps and again gives them back time, you really have done them a disservice. Because now you're making, instead of your application being fluid, is very drudgery. Improving engagement, how is an artificial intelligence system going to predict, be intuitive, give back time? Those are some core components that any enterprise needs to think about how enterprises are going to have to re-engineer some of their data as well as capturing their data, have a more active feedback mechanism between their consumers and that touch point. So how is AI going to help consumers? So again, are you creating a frictionless environment of when a consumer engages with you, does it actually work? And then the other question you have to ask yourself is, how are you utilizing that information to create a very robust profile so that you're actually having a conversation with your customer, or when they interface with you, that you actually know a lot about their history and you know a lot about what either was successful So you can start engaging and say, well, hey, I see you were here last time. How did that product work out for you? And that's a great opportunity for them to tell you, hey, I liked it, but I didn't like this. So that feedback for you actually care. Like, I care that I'm getting this information from you as a consumer is a huge value opportunity for any brands. How that works from an AI perspective is that now you have a system out there mining data, bringing it to the surface, creating functional clusters of information, both visually, maybe vocally, as well as across just standard data sets. And again, you really need to think big here, because we're now in such a connected community and society that with a push of a button, I can share a picture with thousands of people, and then a whole conversation spurts up around maybe your product in both a positive and negative sense. So how are you inserting yourself in that conversation is very important. When you talk about helping consumers, how do I physically help a consumer? It really comes down to is, can you be intuitive on their needs? Think about personal data assistants, or personal AI assistants, they're calling them now, where personal assistants are going to be very intuitive, very smart, crawl a lot of different data sources, so proactively telling you, hey, this is due, or we need to do this, or let me go work this out for you, let me go find this information. Those types of digital assistants are going to be extremely important in people's lives, because now things that they had to spend their mental time on, they will be spending more time on more higher cognitive thinking than the mundane checkoff tasks that we do today. And that, again, if a brand is able to give that time back to that consumer in a very intuitive, a very frictionless way, now that brand can be, or industry is going to be more dominant with that customer, because they're going to create not only the loyalty, clearly of creating engagement, but they're helping that consumer. And a lot of times people talk about artificial intelligence taking over jobs. And clearly you as a big industry or brand don't want to become the job killer in the industry. And that's a big issue for executives thinking about, hey, I'm going to implement this artificial intelligence, and I'm reading everywhere that the robots are going to take over the world. The reality is how are you augmenting your staff? How are you enabling your staff to be more intelligent, utilizing internal resources to be more efficient and more effective when they interface with consumers? And that's really the crux of this whole equation. If I can enhance that experience with consumers and be able to empower my employees to be smarter and faster, more responsive, that's the symbiont relationship you're really going for when you implement and execute artificial intelligence. And another thing around artificial intelligence is you really need to be thinking not in quarters, but in decades. The companies that have really focused in on doing digital transformation, utilizing data intelligence, artificial intelligence, and transforming their business and being the disruptors are really going to be the leaders, because their speed and ability to adapt is going to trump anything that anyone else comes to the table with. So quick recap on AI. First off, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So in my business, videos are worth tens of thousands of words. And for us, we are wanting to find that unique image or clip within a video segment, or even a long video, that really gets consumers excited and gets them engaged. That visual intelligence for my business is very important. For a lot of brands and a lot of industries, visual intelligence, especially using video for marketing, is an incredible opportunity. What you put in front of your consumers, and can you learn from that engagement around visual properties within the actual images themselves? Can I adjust my video and be able to adapt with my consumers is the higher order of thinking, where you're giving a machine the ability to transform content in a real-time basis and adapt in real time. And that's that artificial intelligence that we talked about previously. So really being able to think about, how do I take my brand and my industry and start thinking about all the data that's coming in and de-siloing it and starting to rethink the process of data in and quality and consumer engagement out.